¿Qué diría usted si le dijéramos que ahora mismo existen seres humanos en Marte, que se pueden teletransportar hasta este lugar, que ya existe el viaje en el tiempo? ¿Será esto posible? Según Andrew Basiago, Laura Eisenhower y Alfred Webre, la colonización de Marte es una realidad gracias a la teletransportación.
You know, how could we possibly be on Mars? And nobody would believe me if I said I'm invited to go to Mars. And there's serious technologies, and the people that are behind recruiting me have incredible technologies and a serious mission to get there.
En Marte hay primero una población de marcianos humanos que están viviendo bajo de la Tierra.
As a 6-year-old, I first teleported with my late father, Raymond F. Basiago, who was one of the project principals.
Teletransportación realizada gracias a las investigaciones de Nikola Tesla, desarrolladas por la inteligencia militar de los Estados Unidos desde la Segunda Guerra Mundial. Y que, según los testigos que entrevistamos en los Estados Unidos, convierten a esta historia en la más extraordinaria de todos los tiempos, en una historia que es una realidad.
And then in the late June of 1981, I said, why should I go? Why are you asking me to go to Mars? And he said, because the survival of human life depends on it.
Un programa oculto del gobierno de los Estados Unidos gracias a los conocidos presupuestos negros, inversiones secretas de millones de dólares y que hoy, a lo largo de este programa de Tercer Milenio, quedarán al descubierto gracias a la confirmación de estos testigos que decidieron hablar en exclusiva a la televisión inteligente.
Tecnologías que, si fuesen aplicadas a la economía constitucional y civil, haría un paraíso para la Tierra.
I'm speaking out now for 2 reasons. One is we're going to be needing this technology to save our civilization. So I think that's important a reason enough. People, I think, also have a human right, a birthright to a true telling of the natural history of the solar system that we inhabit.
No se necesitaría autos, camiones, ferrocarriles, aviones, petróleo, poder nuclear.
Teleportation has been used since at least around 1980 to place human personnel on Mars. Why do I know that? I know that because I participated in later activities in which that is what we were doing.
Él es Andrew Basiago. Tercer Milenio se trasladó hasta Estados Unidos para conocerlo, para entrevistar al protagonista de esta fascinante historia.
As a 6-year-old, I first teleported with my late father, Raymond F. Basiago, who was one of the project principals.
El padre de Basiago era un científico encubierto de la CIA que participaba en los proyectos secretos junto a la Secretaría de la Defensa de los Estados Unidos, un programa de crononautas, es decir, de viajeros en el tiempo.
Hubieron muchos experimentos de teletransportación y de viajes por el tiempo usando niños muy avanzados, niños psíquicos.
And I was brought into the time travel program at the time of its emergence because they had different research and development goals that involved children.
Y que, según Basiago, eran entrenados desde niños para soportar las consecuencias psicológicas de viajar a través del tiempo y del espacio. Era el llamado proyecto Pegasus. Sabemos que los archivos de Nikola Tesla están en posesión del ejército de los Estados Unidos?
Sí, fue el Departamento de Guerra que los posesió y fue esos archivos que fueron el fundamento para el proyecto Pegasus y el desarrollo de la teletransportación y el viajes por el tiempo.
When I was trained on Project Pegasus, that they were utilizing 140 American school children.
Was it dangerous for children?
Yes, it was new, dangerous, and experimental when we began teleporting. So they were actually training us to contingency plan for the possibility that we might be lost in time, which was a very fearsome thing to contemplate for those of us in the program. We were concerned about literally leaving this time and being stuck in another one.
Pero, ¿por qué con niños? Andrew Basiago me explicó las 4 principales razones.
One, they wanted to test the mental and physical effects of teleportation on children. 2, they had these electro-optical devices called chronovisors that prompted moving holographic images of past and future events. The third purpose is that they knew that children are exceptionally accurate in their observations, or at least they tend to be much more accurate than what adults report that they're seeing. Their perceptions are not influenced in the way that adults' perceptions are by the selection bias of what they have previously experienced. The fourth reason, and that which we were most excited about, is they told us that in adulthood we would be admitted to the U.S. Naval Academy at Annapolis, and that would be used as a pretext to involve us in future time travel activities, that we were being trained to become America's first cadre of chrononauts in a secret program that would run parallel to the U.S. space program.
¿A dónde fue Andrew Basiago? ¿Fueron las investigaciones de Nikola Tesla desarrolladas por la inteligencia militar de Estados Unidos que hicieron esto posible?
What are we doing trying to fund teleportation when it's existed for 40 years? I'm not lying. I can give you the names of the locations we were taken to where events, time travel activities occurred. I can give you the name and describe the structure and function of the devices. I'm giving the name not only of project insiders whose names will show up in government records as a result of entering certain facilities or having security badges and so forth. I can give you the names of their friends in places like New Mexico and New Jersey who were aware of what was going on.
El 16 de enero de 1901, el New York Times, en su primera plana, reportó el observatorio Lowell de la Universidad de Harvard que hubo una luz brillante que vino de Marte por 70 minutos a Tierra. Y el director del observatorio dijo que a su mentalidad era una señal inteligente. Y así dijo también Nikola Tesla. Y hizo un equipo de su ciencia Tesla electromagnética para señalar a Marte y lo puso encima de Pikes Peak, que es la montaña sagrada de los indios Hopi en Colorado. Y en 1902 logró tener comunicación interactivo con la civilización en Marte, o sea, se dieron luces.
Como el proyecto Filadelfia de la Segunda Guerra Mundial, donde, según Basiago, se trató de teletransportar el barco naval Martha's Vineyard de Newport a New Zealand, pero que fue hasta finales de los 60 que se logró con éxito el sueño de Nikola Tesla.
Nikola Tesla found a way to create an apparatus that draws radiant energy from the time-space continuum. Radiant energy is a form of energy that he discovered. It is latent and pervasive in the universe.
Y Basiago viajó en el espacio y tiempo. Creo que la historia debe de ser escuchada. Yo no sé si esta pueda ser sustentada, pero los detalles, caramba, son extraordinarios.
My father and I first jumped through a Tesla teleporter in Building 68 at the old Curtiss-Wright Aeronautical Company facility in Woodridge, New Jersey, sometime between September of 1967 and September of 1968. We know that because we arrived in the state capitol complex in Santa Fe. The teleport would open up a tunnel in the time-space continuum. You would find yourself moving through it, And when the tunnel closed, you would find yourself elsewhere on the surface of the planet. So in July 1981, I met him at the corner of Mason and Devonshire in Chatsworth, California. In his car, we drove to the office building that is at the corner of North Sepulveda Boulevard and Imperial Boulevard, immediately southeast of the grounds of the Los Angeles International Airport. The address of that building is 999 North Sepulveda Boulevard.
Este es el 999 de North Sepulveda Boulevard. Tal y como lo señaló el señor Andrew Basiago, se trata de un edificio de 7 pisos que se encuentra a unos metros del aeropuerto de la ciudad de Los Ángeles. De acuerdo al reporte del señor Basiago, resulta difícil de creer que en este lugar se haya desarrollado la teletransportación directamente hacia el planeta Marte. Sin embargo, lo que él señaló aquí está. Y de tal manera que sí corresponden los hechos a como lo señala el señor Andrew Basiago. ¿Sería posible entonces que en este lugar hubiera una especie de túnel del tiempo, un túnel dimensional que pudiera conectar y enviar a las personas hasta el planeta Marte?
And Courtney Hunt was speaking to me through the telecom and saying, "Are you ready?" and so forth. And I finally grew impatient because I wanted to go to Mars. I don't like waiting for things. And I borrowed a line, I believe, that was from Alan Shepard during the space program, which was "Light this candle." Maybe it was John Glenn. But I cribbed some wording from one of the American astronauts, and I said rather impatiently, "Light this candle." I was really growing exasperated. I couldn't tell that much was happening. All that was happening was that panels of light on the top and bottom of the elevator started blinking. And then about 10 minutes into the 20-minute journey to Mars, the entire form of this box-like elevator began to morph and crumple and reposition itself into a cylinder. And when that happened, I had to steady myself in the elevator, such as you would if you were walking through a water main. You know, you're walking in a cylindrical object, so you have to kind of steady yourself. And I saw that the ceiling had become the surface I was looking at, and I could see this sort of swirling pattern. They had opened up a vortal tunnel in the fabric of time-space, just as the teleporter did back when I was a child on Project Pegasus. And that lasted for maybe 2 to 4 minutes or so, and then it began, the cylinder, and then it began correcting itself, and then it just completely rectified its original shape. And then about 10 minutes later, as Courtney had described, the door opened, and I walked out into what looked like, if you can imagine, sort of the basement of a modern sports arena. The infrastructure of that built into an existing underground cavern of an ancient civilization. There was sort of a big cave in which I could see these modern tension struts, a sort of infrastructure that had been placed inside, and the jump room itself had been placed inside this ancient cavern. I walked through what was clearly the irregular eye sockets of some kind of skull on the surface. I turned around, I could see it was a skull. I could see the rust-red terrain of Mars. I could see that Mars has a pale blue sky. I could see that, or sense rather, that Mars smelt of gunpowder, which must have been some sulfur content, at least at that location.
What is the temperature on Mars? What do they eat on Mars?
It was about 70 degrees. Now, the conventional scientific literature about Mars states either that Mars is prohibitively cold or that Mars has temperate regions that would be survivable by humans. I don't know where I was sent via the jump room at 999 North Sepulveda Boulevard in El Segundo, the Hughes building that the jump room was in. All I know is that they sent me there.
¿Encontró Andrew Basiago vida en Marte?
And I turned and I saw a small human being from our civilization on Earth run up to me. And then 2 more individuals a couple years older than me, I would say they were maybe 21, 22, 23 years of age, ran up to me, two men and a woman. And I was interacting with the first individual who ran up to my location. And they were clearly human beings from Earth. They weren't Martians. They looked normal. They were speaking English.
Alfred Webre nos confirma que la historia que cuenta Andrew Basiago es verdadera.